Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to my Xbox One game collection video. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of the games in my Xbox One collection. I believe there are just over 50 here. So what you're going to see in this collection is sort of a transitional phase. I started off kind of sparingly picking up games for the Xbox One because, quite frankly, a lot of third-party games were performing and looking better on the PlayStation 4 console. And then this sort of changed as we got the Xbox One X released in 2017. I started getting a lot more games for that system because that was outperforming the PlayStation 4 Pro and at many times giving you a native 4K experience. So what you're going to see here is within my collection is sort of this transition phase. We're going to go through this in alphabetical order, and what you're going to basically see is some of the fewer games that released during earlier on this generation I don't have in this collection, but later on within the past couple years of the games releasing, you're going to see a lot of them I did pick up for the Xbox One X in particular. So we're going to get started with this, and hope you guys enjoy the video. Alright, so I'm just going to pull them out as we go here. First game we have is A Way Out. A very interesting co-op game from the guys who did Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which I did play on the original Xbox 360. Next up we have Assassin's Creed Unity. An actually interesting game. I actually like this one, despite it being very glitchy, not really running or performing well at the time of release, but I actually ended up really liking it. Next up we have Assassin's Creed Origins. This went for a more RPG route. It was basically the reboot of the Assassin's Creed franchise, which, you know, I enjoyed parts of it, to be honest with you. I like the setting of it more. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So this was a much bigger version of basically Assassin's Creed Origins. A little bit too big, if you ask me. It took me 65 hours to get through this game, and there's still 3 islands that I never visited in the game. It's just massive. Battlefield Hardline. I was one of the few people who probably really did enjoy this game, at least for the campaign. The multiplayer was complete trash, though. But the campaign was pretty solid. I liked how you could play it sort of your way. We have BioShock The Collection. This is the remaster of both 2 BioShock games, as well as the PC port of BioShock Infinite. They give you this nice slipcover. I actually never played the remasters, but of course I've played and loved the original BioShock games. One of my favorite series out there. We're supposed to be getting a new BioShock game releasing for the next generation, which is going to be very exciting. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I think this game did a really good job of showcasing the visuals at the time for what they could really do on next generation hardware. I enjoyed the campaign. The multiplayer was okay. Next up we have Call of Duty World War II. This was sort of a back-to-basics game, not much innovation, kind of bare bones and basic. So it was basically in response to all the sci-fi futuristic shooters we got with Call of Duty, but it was okay. Crackdown 3. Again, I was probably one of the few people who enjoyed this game. I didn't like the first Crackdown, and I did play it through on the Xbox One X in 4K. But didn't really enjoy it, but I enjoyed this one, Crackdown 3. I thought they did a good job with the world. Dark Souls Remastered. Never played the original Dark Souls. I got into the series with Bloodborne earlier this generation. As you can see, this one's still sealed. I never opened this, so I will get to it eventually down the line, but I wanted to at least pick up the remaster and see what the first game was all about. Next up we have the Dark Pictures Anthology, Man of Medan. So I believe by the time you guys are seeing this video, the next entry in the series, Little Hope, should be releasing today. But I actually really enjoyed this game. Despite it being sort of shorter, it's from the guys who did Until Dawn. They did a decent job. Dead or Alive 6. I liked this game, although I thought it was a little bit underwhelming in compared to the other previous entries in the series. Kind of lacking, to be honest. Also, this has to be the worst cover art of any game I ever owned. It looks like placeholder concept art, so pretty interesting there. Dead Rising 3. This is the Day 1 2013 edition. This was a launch title for the Xbox One. Never played it, actually. Didn't really like the Dead Rising series, and I played 2, couldn't really get into it, but I wanted to try 3 out because of how good the graphics looked at the time, and I just never got around to it, but I will eventually. Devil May Cry 5, absolutely love this game. Lots of fun, just crazy action, incredible visuals. They did such a great job with Devil May Cry 5. We have Forza Motorsport 5, the Day 1 2013 edition. This is one that I did videos on and covered for you guys, and I like this one. Despite it being a smaller Forza game, I thought they did a good showcase with the visuals that you could do on the next generation at the time. Just a really good game. Forza Motorsport 6, games are falling. Forza Motorsport 6, I didn't play. It's the only Forza game in the series that I haven't played yet, besides the very original one. I did play the demo for this. I like the Brazil level. I will give it a shot one of these days, but nice to have it in my collection. Forza Motorsport 7. I played a lot of this game. I probably put about 40 hours in this game, and I swear to you, I only did like half of this stuff. There's way too much content in this game. But it's actually a really solid racer. Beautiful graphics, 4K 60 FPS on the Xbox One X with HDR. Horizon 2, this was a great entry for the next generation, a sequel to one of my favorite racing games of all time, the first Forza Horizon, and love the world, love the driving mechanics. This was a cross-gen game. They released a 360 version that unfortunately was sort of half-assed. And then we have Horizon 3, which is my favorite in the entire series. Just love Australia as a location. There's so much variety in the levels. It's just absolutely beautiful, and it just did a fantastic job. That was followed up by Forza Horizon 4, which unfortunately for me was the worst in the entire series. You can beat this game in about 5 hours. It's making it the shortest in the entire series, and I just didn't find the world as interesting. I thought it was way too many steps back considering Forza Horizon 3 and how good that was. Gears of War Ultimate Edition. This is the remaster of the original Gears of War. They did a phenomenal job going in there and updating all the assets. They added, new, I think, additional cutscenes they expanded upon. They just did a great job with the game. Gears of War 4, unfortunately, I felt like this was a very lackluster start to a new trilogy. You're fighting robots for like half the game, and the game's twist of the new enemy type is just very uninspired and boring. So it's kind of like a has-been kind of cover shooter, in my opinion. That was followed up by Gears of War 5, which in my opinion they did a great job with this game. There's a lot of exploration and just choice. I really feel like they progressed the Gears of War franchise forward, so I actually really enjoyed my time with Gears of War 5. Only thing was it ended on a cliffhanger again, which I wasn't too thrilled about. Halo, the Master Chief Collection. So I have actually never played this game. I never put this disc in my console, and I owned it since launch. But I do want to go back and play all these games, because I didn't play the original Halo or Halo 2. I didn't have an original Xbox at the time. But before Halo 6 comes out, I do want to, or Halo Infinite, I do want to play through all those games. Then we have Halo 5 Guardians, kind of lackluster campaign in my opinion, very short, not really, memorable. The multiplayer I did have a lot of fun with, though, I will give it that. I like the big team battles. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. So I have this game originally on the PlayStation 4. It was only a digital game at the time and only on PS4 and PC. Microsoft has bought the studio, and we have Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga coming out. As you can see, this one's still sealed, but nice slipcover. I wanted to own the the physical version of the game just because it's one of my favorite games that released this generation. Just fantastic. Mad Max. This is probably Avalanche Studios' best game, and I played this on PC, but I actually owned it for consoles originally. I would like to actually go back and play it again. I think they just did a solid job crafting a gorgeous world, great combat, and I think it just really nails the Mad Max atmosphere. Mafia Definitive Edition. I'm actually playing through this currently right now, and they just did an incredible job going back to the world and just recreating everything. It just looks amazing. I love this slipcover that they give you, and I gave you a nice little mini map as well. They just did a great job with this game, and I really, really am enjoying Mafia Definitive Edition. I should have it beat this weekend, actually. Metro Exodus. This is my favorite and the best in the Metro series. Phenomenal, phenomenal game, and native 4K on the Xbox One X. It's just incredible. Great story. They improved on nearly all the aspects of the Metro gameplay. Just very impressive game. Middle-earth Shadow of War. This is the sequel to Shadow of Mordor, which I do own on the PlayStation 4, and I thought it was a good game. I didn't feel it was as good as Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, the first game, but I felt like they did a solid job with Shadow of War. Mortal Kombat 11, much better than Mortal Kombat 10 in my opinion, which I do own on the PlayStation 4. and just great graphics. They still releasing new characters. I think Rambo's just coming out as a playable character for Mortal Kombat 11, which is pretty cool. Need for Speed Payback, probably the best Need for Speed we got this generation, although honestly that's not saying much. Kind of a lacking game in all aspects. I hate the rubber banding AI, which basically shows up halfway through the game. The game just becomes insanely difficult for no reason whatsoever. Then we got Need for Speed Heat, which I felt was an even worse sequel. Not really building up on the mechanics, not as interesting, not as varied gameplay as Payback, but an actually nice location and an interesting concept, I would give it that. Quantum Break, again, I was probably one of the few people who liked this game. I enjoyed the story a lot. I enjoyed the episodic nature of the TV show that they had going on. My only issue with this game was that the gunplay felt very lacking compared to, considering those are the guys who made Max Payne and Alan Wake, much better games to play. Then we have Rare Replay here. This is nice because it's a full collection of all of Rare's catalogs. Some of these are even Xbox One X upgraded in native 4K. I actually never played any of these games. Well, I played some of these games, as far as them releasing individually, but I never played this in collection, I should say. But it's just nice to have all those, sort of on one disc. Recore, I actually didn't think I was going to like this game. I ended up actually pretty much enjoying it most of the run through, and a pretty interesting platformer, very sort of old school type game, but I actually liked it. I thought they did a good job with that. Red Dead Redemption 2. If you were going to ask me what was the most technically impressive game I played this generation, Red Dead Redemption 2 would be it. I mean, when you just look at the visuals and everything that's happening in this game from a technical standpoint, and then you find out that it's running lower than low settings on PC, I can't even wrap my brain around the type of work that was involved in getting that game to run and function. Resident Evil Revelations 2, this is the disc version of the episodic game released earlier on this generation. I enjoyed this game. It was kind of a throwback to classic Resident Evil in a way, but I really liked it. Resident Evil 2, the remake, phenomenal game. I just recently completed my Claire run, my second run of the game's campaign, and they just did a lot of work with this game, going back in and just adding new cutscenes and just fully remaking the game from the ground up. Such a phenomenal game. Resident Evil 4, I never played the original Resident Evil 4, so I picked up the remastered for Xbox One, and I can see why everyone loves it. It still holds up to this day. There's a rumor that they're even remaking this like Resident Evil 2 and 3 for the next generation systems. I don't know why, but if they are, then that's phenomenal. I'm sure it's going to be very, very cool. Rise, Son of Rome. Again, I was probably one of the few people who actually really enjoyed this game. I thought it was a return to form for Crytek. Really good story. Just incredible visuals that, in my opinion, still hold up this generation. Just phenomenal. Sea of Thieves. I bought this game primarily because the water physics looked just completely impressive, incredible to me. Haven't played this yet. I know it's a completely different game now than when it was launched, when it came out at launch. So I'll give it a run and see what it's about. It's probably not going to be my style of game though, but it was $7. Soul Calibur 6, very lackluster fighting game in my opinion. I just felt like they needed to put a lot more effort in than what they already did. It just felt like when you have Mortal Kombat around and all these other fighters doing a lot with their campaigns, Soul Calibur 6 just doesn't stand up in my opinion. Sunset Overdrive, this was the previous Xbox exclusive from Insomniac Games. It was then later ported to PC, and now Sony owns the studio, so they effectively own this franchise, which is interesting. I actually enjoyed this game. I didn't think I was going to, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. For some reason, it just clicked with me. Now we have the Surge 2. I played the original Surge and loved it, so I picked up the sequel, but I don't really know, I haven't really played this at all. It's still sealed. The sequel looks more of the same, but I'll get to it eventually down the road. Let's see, we have the original Titanfall. I think it was a good base. I enjoyed the multiplayer for this game. In fact, I enjoyed the multiplayer for the original Titanfall more than Titanfall 2, but Titanfall 2's campaign was just incredible. We have Rise of the Tomb Raider. Alright, this is my favorite in terms of the sequel, or the sequel trilogy, I guess, that we had for Tomb Raider, and they just did a good job with this game. I felt like it corrected all my issues with the Tomb Raider 2013 game, which there are very few, but mostly related to the storytelling. Much better storytelling in Rise of the Tomb Raider. Next up, we have Shadow of the Tomb Raider, a disappointing end to the trilogy, in my opinion. You got this nice little limited steelbook edition that came out. I was sent a review code for this game, and I just felt it was lacking in almost all areas. It didn't even feel as good to play. Looked amazing, but the storytelling was very poor in this game. Zero character development. They cut content from the base game and sold it as DLC. Very disappointing. Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Disappointment when standing up to the excellent Wolfenstein: The New Order. I just felt like they sort of changed what this game was all about. The story isn't as interesting. The gameplay isn't nearly as varied. So I just felt it was sort of lacking in that respect. Wolfenstein Youngblood I felt was a big improvement on Wolfenstein 2's gameplay, but the storytelling still was sort of lacking. Annoying-ass characters, but Arcane Studios helped develop the level design, and it just clearly shows there's so much variety in terms of the gameplay, what you can do, and how you approach missions. And then the last game I have, sort of out of order, but it's massive. This is the Ori Collector's Edition, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I haven't played this yet. I'll probably be playing it on the Xbox Series X at this point by the time I get to it. But it's this nice Collector's Edition, which was sold as $50. I think this is actually rare now. And I have Ori and the Blind Forest as a digital game, because I bought it at launch at the time. So this is nice to actually have a physical version and the Collector's Edition at that for Will of the Wisp. And that pretty much concludes my entire Xbox One collection. You know, I think there's just over 50 games there. So like I said, you know, it was kind of interesting. I was buying most of my third-party games for the PlayStation 4 because it was giving you the better experience. 1080p over 900p usually, or 900p over 720p in some cases. Smoother frame rates sometimes. And then what you really saw is when the Xbox One X came out, it just wiped the floor with the PS4 Pro in terms of delivering you that experience. And then they have backwards compatibility on that. And Microsoft really, I think, grew a lot this generation, learned a lot of lessons. And I'm really sort of looking forward to seeing how the Xbox Series X grows over time and seeing what they can do with that system. But that's my collection for the Xbox One. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's any games in here that you saw that you enjoyed, let me know. Or any of the standout ones, I'll be sure to keep an eye on the comments for you guys, and thank you very much. Have a good one.